Well, I realize I haven't done a video for about a week. And about that time is when people start thinking, oh, to get another strike. No, I just really haven't had the interest to do it. But I did get mail from Ukraine today. So evidently they're still getting mail out. But these little fittings for the fuel line on my Belarus tractor, I didn't intentionally buy them from Ukraine. But I was looking on eBay, and here they were, and cheap, like $8, and they shipped them. So evidently, the mail still comes from Ukraine, though it's been pretty sluggish over here. We had some rain the other day, freezing rain, like 3 or 4 days ago. So we got like a quarter inch of ice on everything, including my windshield, which is why I've been driving with the windows, the front windshield opens on this, but running with it open so I can see where I'm going and not have to scrape all that ice off. But after that freezing rain, it's been like teens, single digits, just cold. But then we got a couple inches of snow to boot. So when you get an ice base and then snow on top, she's pretty scooty. So the mail hasn't been going, and the interstate highways have been shut down. Though they must have opened them up by now, I would think. They'd have to sand them all the way, and even then there's going to be a lot of crashing. But it doesn't get warm enough during the day to thaw off. So, but I was thinking of doing a video. I had seen something. Well, I could talk about a lot of stuff. I could talk about this election nonsense, but I just give up on the idea that you can vote your way out of this kind of mess. That's just preposterous. Though I did think it was funny when Arizona immediately goes into a hell of a mess. When they say like 20 minutes after the election starts, 20% of the machines die. And I'm thinking, God, that's like a really shitty run laundromat. When you go in and you see all these out of order signs, you don't give a place like that your business. But Arizona's a mess. But like I say, it doesn't really matter. It's nice if we can get, if the Republicans get control of the House, at least there's a balance there of some kind. But still, it's just going to be a mess. It's, just a mess either way you look at it. Well, I got a cat coming to visit me. Yeah. And if I don't knock down the camera, we'll be lucky. That was actually the first cat I got. The thing I was going to mention, I saw a funny thing that a lot of the Ukrainians that went into Poland, though they tend to go back and forth. They're in Poland, get all kinds of aid, then they go back in Ukraine. Well, a little while there, go back into Poland, get more aid. They keep doing this back and forth each time, like they're a new refugee. So they demand all this stuff. But Poland is starting to clamp down on that. And in fact, now they want the Ukrainians to not only swear allegiance to Poland, which I thought was interesting, but they also want them to accept responsibility for the outrages of the Ukrainian Nazis had caused in World War II. Because they killed a hell of a lot of Poles during World War II. The Ukrainians did. And it's funny now, there's a lot of stuff being dredged up, sins of the fathers and grandfathers that are being brought up again now. People demanding reparations from back in World War II, and that's like 2 generations ago. You know, but that's what Poland is demanding. And it's funny, because like I'm convinced when this is all said and done, Poland is going to take that western part of Ukraine. No matter how this shakes down, Poland is going to take that part of Ukraine. And they can push all them Ukrainians that have sworn loyalty to Poland back in there. I don't know why we do what we do. It's beyond me that we keep promoting this whole crazy thing. Because even back when the Nazis were making use of the Ukrainians, when they were collaborating with them back in World War II, the intention was, they used the Ukrainians to thin out the Poles and the Jews and whatnot, and their intention was down the road they would just get rid of the Ukrainians too. They had, it isn't like they were buddy-buddy. They had no respect for them at all. They were just a tool that they were using, and now we're doing the same thing. We are using the Ukrainians as a tool, but we know in the end they can't be allowed to continue on. No matter how this shakes down, somebody has to get rid of the Banderites. It's going to be. I'm convinced eventually Poland is going to be at war with Ukraine. It's just got to happen. It's just that right now it's handy to have the Ukrainians fighting the Russians to get them thinned down. Our theory is to thin down the Russians, but the Poles are looking, thinking, Ukrainians, they can go. Nobody really has use for them. Well, except me, that I can get parts out of Ukraine. Like I said, that wasn't my intention. I've got parts coming out of Belarus, but they're stuck in Chicago. But it's a mess that I don't see any good end to this. If we had any brains, we'd drop them, let them figure it out. But we don't. We're going to keep pouring millions and billions into that. It's a good place to dump our old military equipment, but damn, that's just ugly. A whole lot of people are going to die for no reason. And we promoted that all along. We started it. But it can't end well for anybody, no matter how you look at it, it's going to be a mess. Well, no matter. I thought I'd mention, I'm still kicking, actually thriving, you might say. But I don't know about the rest of the world. Looks like a hell of a mess. It's funny, I was reading that G20 summit. They're going to go there now. They're kind of going to snub Lavrov. Well, I'm sure, Lavrov is like the ultimate diplomat. I mean, that guy is, he is the top of that field. And he's just going to laugh at their feeble attempts at snubbing him because there's going to be people there who want to talk to Lavrov. That's funny. The West is just dying. It's just committing suicide. The silliest thing I've ever seen. Oh, well. But it's funny to think that they're going to, treat the Russians like an outcast at the G20. When if you look, everybody wants in on this BRICS deal. They know that's the future. This whole Western thing is the past. So those people are looking out for their own countries, and they know which way the wind is blowing, and they're gonna talk to Lavrov, and we're gonna make fools of ourselves. You know, the whole idea. Oh, if Lavrov is going to give a speech, then all the Western countries are going to walk out. Well, go ahead and walk out. You know, that's just silly. But at the same time, they want Zelensky. He should give a speech, you know, over the internet, you know, stream some. Why? You know, that's just silly. But, you know, it's just, I used to hate that when that other UN one we had that, I can't remember her name. She's from down south someplace. I think she's still trying to get into politics again. But when she was our ambassador to the UN, she was all having little fits like that, little schoolgirl kind of stuff, you know, shunning this country and shunning that country. That isn't what that thing is sort of supposed to be about. You know, it's to try to talk these things out. If you're not willing to talk, there's no point in it. But so now they're going to all walk out when that speech goes on. Just wasting time talking to them people. Like little spoiled kids. But, you know, like say, even during this election thing, you know, I was looking and thinking, my God, is that the best we can do as far as candidates? That's your slate? You know, you pull them people up there. You know, it should be the best of the best, and we've got the worst of the worst. And how can you choose something like that? So it's like they're making fun of you, you know, like they're giving you, have you got options? See this democracy? Choose between, you know, cat shit or dog shit. But then when you bring, what the hell is the name of that one that had a stroke? I mean, if you met that guy if he was coming down the sidewalk, you would cross the street to avoid him. And him, you think is going to be a senator, and then I think it was MSNBC said, "Oh, he did so good, we should run him for president." You damn right. But it's like they're mocking you by doing this. You know, they're making no attempt. That's just, I would have loved to have been, you know, I think Biden and I think maybe Obama were there campaigning for him, for this monster. I would love to see him and Biden have a conversation. That would have been enlightening, man. But that's what the world has come to. We're being run by idiots. So I'll shun you all. It's the only answer. But it's funny to watch, you know, when you see all these countries now bringing up crap from World War II. You know, and want reparations for this and you know, damn. I mean, you should learn from the past, but you don't let the past dictate your future. I love to see countries like Hungary, especially, really holding out. You know, I mean, standing their ground. Now the gray cat's got to come. You start talking, cats start turning up. Yeah, you know, there are other countries, even Italy, Serbia. They're trying, but there's a lot of pressure on them. There'll be more battling there too, in Serbia again. That isn't ever going to go away. We won't let it. You know, I mean, we love nothing more to get a fight going. Well, I'm going to let the phone out here in charge and I can upload this. But I am fine. I will be fine. Just goes on and on. But it's an early start for winter, and I'm hoping we get a little bit of a break, at least enough that I can get the ice melted off of stuff. Because I hate scraping windshields, and I got ice. I mean, every piece of barbed wire, everything is coated with a 1/4 inch of ice. And we get no sun. It ain't warming up. I think that's on for a while. A week forecast out. I don't see it changing. Though we could get snow on Sunday, get more snow on top of this. But I don't really have to go anywhere, and I got wood piled up, so I got plenty of grub. I'm set for the winter. If I can't get out, I'm all right. I got no place I got to be. I can just sit back here and watch the world destroy itself. You know, it's funny that one day, I should look at the time. Oh, I got time. Driving down the road, it was a cloudy day. I was heading north, and all of a sudden I see a flash of light in my rearview mirror. And my first thought was, okay, somebody took out Sioux Falls, South Dakota. That was my first thought. It shouldn't be that way, but that was my first thought. You know, that's what I was going to mention too. Like about this battle into Twitter now. Oh yeah, now it's funny too because I seen Biden make a little talk. I try to avoid even trying to figure out what he's saying because it's all bullshit anyway. But somebody did ask him about investigating Musk because of this Twitter buyout with his foreign financing. You know, and Biden kind of shit-eating grin because he knows damn well all of his shady dealings with foreign countries is going to be coming to light, you know, but they want to poke around at Musk. And I don't give a rat's ass Twitter one way or the other. I don't make use of it. The only thing I use is YouTube. Well, I use eBay for buying stuff, but the only social media I'm on is YouTube, and I see that dying. I see them all dying, really, because they're not good. You know, YouTube is good in that you can learn things. You know, if there's something you're trying to figure out, I mean, there's a good chance you could find a video on it. But their ad revenues have really dropped. You know, like Twitter is complaining about it, but YouTube too. All of those, like Facebook too, they're all going down. Like I've always been my theory that this advertising really doesn't work. I don't recall anything I've ever bought because of an ad I saw on YouTube about it. You know, if it's, you know, somebody did a video showing me something that they bought, that'll perk my interest in an item, you know, but boy, they try to get you with the ads, but I just don't think they're effective, and I think companies are figuring that out. So they're pulling ads. I saw YouTube was going to try to do some kind of a new ad format. I'd got some notification about this. Now, I don't know what it is, but in theory, it was going to be like shorter ads. I think maybe they're figuring if they can get a really compressed sort of ad, people won't skip them because that's all I do now is I put up with that 5 seconds and I can skip it. You know, I don't watch any of them. And I'll have to say, too, that YouTube is particularly bad about this. There was a time when their ads, they would make an effort to the ad, have the ad somehow relate to something that was in the video. You know, like if I was running a Husqvarna chainsaw, then they could run a Husqvarna ad. You know, it would make sense. They don't even try anymore. You know, the ads are random stuff. Like for a long time now, it's been all this political nonsense. At least that has kind of come to an end, though I think that one where they're going to have a runoff, they'll be hammering away at that for a while. A lot of money gets spent to try to convince you to vote for some idiot and isn't going to change a damn thing. And you can't vote your way out of this kind of deal. It's way too far gone for that. Has been for quite some time. But I can see, like people always say, oh, you should get on Rumble or one of these other, that they won't censor you as much. Actually, I'm surprised. I think they're kind of backing off because they're losing a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people now that the only thing that they're on YouTube for is to steer people to their other channel on Rumble. That's the only purpose for it because YouTube is way too unreliable. But I have found when I have looked at some of the other channels, I think their compression is different or something. Somehow I get an awful lot of buffering when I try to watch something on them. So it doesn't really work for me to watch them. And I really have no interest in learning some other system. Even YouTube aggravates me. Like the other day now, there was some kind of an update through Google, and now everything works a little different. And every time they do that, I have to try to figure out a way to work around their update. This has been going on for years. I used to do it when I first started out. I was doing it in ways that, tricking the machine to be able to do it. And when I was explaining this to a Verizon guy the one time, he said, "You can't do that. That don't work." Well, it worked. We did it for years. But every time they update something, I've got to figure out a new method. So even getting this to upload could be a trick, but we'll see. But like I say, I think social media in general is dying because it really doesn't have a purpose anymore. It gets misused. And it's another method of control for them. So I'm not really into it, which is, I guess, is why I haven't done one for a week. But, I'll see. I mean, once in a while, I'll maybe put one up, but I got enough to keep me occupied. And I don't really spend that much time on the internet. Yeah, like in winter, I do a lot of reading, and I've been dusting off some books. A really good book you can read like every 2 or 3 years, and it's still good. It's the flow of the words. If it's done right, if a good writer, but they don't do much of that anymore. But the old classics are always good to read over and over. So that's what I do. Sit by the stove and read and cook. In fact, I better get in the house and check. My chili might be burning.